Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the 5 Ways to Reward Clients and Build Loyalty webinar. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you're all having a great week and staying warm if you're on the East Coast like we are. I really thought winter was over, but I guess not. My name is Brittany Mackey, and I will be your host today. I'm an education specialist with Millennium Systems International. With me today is our very own amazing John Harms. John is the founder and CEO of Millennium Systems International. He's been designing leading software in the beauty industry since 1987. Besides software development, John enjoys educating businesses on key growth indicators and how technology can be more than just a front desk tool. I want to say a quick congratulations to John and our amazing team here at Millennium Systems International for winning the award for Favorite Salon Software at Behind the Chair Stylish Choice Awards for the fifth, yes, you heard me correctly, fifth year in a row. And a big thank you goes to all of you who voted and all of you who make what we do here possible. Finally, you've probably noticed we have everyone in listen-only mode. This is so that all the information for today's presentation can be covered in the time allowed. You will only hear our voices during the class. If you do have any questions, there is a question section in the bottom right-hand corner that will allow you to send questions directly to us. I will do my best to answer all questions that come in. If time permits, we'll be able to get to some of those questions at the end of the presentation. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to John. John?
Thank you, Brittany. Welcome, everybody. I'm happy to be here with you for the next 30 minutes. We're going to discuss client loyalty and why it matters, some ideas on how to reward clients and build loyalty, and then within that, we'll actually talk about 4 specific loyalty programs that I think are parts of a loyalty program that I think make complete sense. So whenever I do education, I'm always talking about what we call the growth indicators, which are like new clients per month, new client retention, repeat client retention, frequency of visit, average ticket, and those things are so important. Obviously, for long-term sustained growth, you need to be able to actually build client loyalty so that the most important thing, especially that you noticed in 2008, 2009 with the recession and other things like that, you start to realize that you really need to be able to sustain your business with your loyal clients, the people that already appreciate what you do, and then really get them to come in more often. So a couple things we're going to talk about. One is, why does client loyalty really even matter? And I had already mentioned that it has a lot to do with long-term growth. And, what does client loyalty really even mean? So I have why there. I'm going to change that to what right in front of you. What does client loyalty really even mean? So to me, it's really about retaining an existing client, working with them to increase their average ticket. FOV is short for frequency of visit. So we want a loyal client, to me, is somebody that comes in at a frequent rate. They're not coming in 4 times a year. I want a loyal client to come in every 4 to 6 weeks, so they'll be an 8 to 10 time client. And then also a loyal client, in my opinion, believes in your business and want to give you referrals. So are you tracking those referrals? Are you rewarding them for those referrals? So to me, a loyal client is somebody that's you've retained, they're spending money, they're coming in at a good frequency, and they're generating referrals. So let's jump in and look at 3 reasons why client loyalty really matters. For that average ticket, it's going to be easier to upsell and cross-sell a loyal client. So a client that believes in what you're doing, a client, to me, a loyal client is also an educated client, a client that you've discussed the products that you've used on them that day. They're educated on the product lines that you carry. They want to maintain their hair after they leave and use the products that you're selling. And so a loyal client is obviously more likely to accept an upsell or a cross-sell. So what does that also mean? It means that their average ticket tends to be slightly higher. And it doesn't have to be $50 higher. It could be $5 per guest higher, but that all starts to add up. And I will show you, obviously, I'm the CEO of Millennium. We do try to keep this webinar somewhat generic so that people that don't use Millennium can still get some valuable information and hopefully go back to their software and be able to use it, use some of the ideas. I will show you a couple of these things in Millennium, but we are, short on time. We try to keep this nice and compact, so and also answer some questions. So we will only show you a couple actual kind of specific things in Millennium. So the other reason why client loyalty should really matter is the referrals that I talked about. So a loyal client should be encouraged to refer friends and family, and it's really free marketing. So, and also there's proven stats that show a client that has been referred to you is more likely to stay than a client that, say, you brought in by some kind of marketing tool or an email or, you know, any other type of way of bringing in a new client. A referred new client typically will stay and be retained a lot higher percentage than the person that just randomly or comes in through other marketing. And what's great is it's free marketing. So, you know, here at Millennium, we actually track this as well, and we maintain about a 24 to 26% referral rate. So of the new clients we bring in, a quarter of them come from clients that are out there saying, hey, Millennium's there when we call, the product's a good product. So very important. And the other thing to keep in mind in this webinar is obviously, you know, the things I'm going to talk to you about are more around business tools or processes, things that you could do. But keep in mind, I have to make the assumption that your salon is a salon that people want to go to, your service providers are providing a good service. So obviously those are core things to keeping a client loyal. It's got to be a great experience. If I walk in, the front desk is grumpy, or I go and the stylist is off, or I'm not happy with my service, then obviously none of this stuff's going to matter. So, but unfortunately I'm not a hairstylist. I'm a business guy, so I'm going to talk to you about the business side of beauty today. So another reason it's so important to focus on client loyalty is loyal clients have a long-term impact on your business. So for instance, a client that comes in 5 times a year and spends $50 is $250 a year. 7 visits per year, hopefully they're doing, you know, more, at spending a little bit more, like $70 instead of $50, because they're doing the upsell and cross-sell of trying retail, taking home products. That's $490 a year. So a significant increase between that person that's just kind of coming in 5 times a year and spending $50, and that person that comes in at least 2 more times and spends a little bit more. We're close to doubling the revenue from that loyal client. The next slide I want to show you is something that we have in Millennium. It can determine your average lifetime value of a client. And on average, we tend to see that the average salon, that's about $3,000. So it really makes you look at your client retention differently, right? So if you see that you brought in 100 clients in February, let's say December, and now in March you realize that only 15 of them came back, you really see that the value of that. So 85, let's say 80 times 3,000 is $240,000 of future income that we've lost. So it's a different way of thinking about it, a different way of communicating to your employees about it is the value of a client. So a lifetime value of a client can be determined in a lot of different ways. One way is just to say, okay, my average ticket is this, and people come in 6 times a year, and I should keep them at least 5 to 6 years, or maybe it's 7 or 8 years, whatever you decide. And you multiply that out, and that's how we get 3,000. In Millennium, I'm just going to flip over to Millennium here real quick. Under our reports, we have a lot of great analytical reports, so I'm not going to go in there and run it, but I'll just show you where it's at, because a lot of times when we do these webinars, you still want to at least know where to find it. So down towards the bottom, we actually have lifetime value of a client as MA240, and it'll let you do a date range. It'll ask you how many visits you would expect from that person, how long you expect to keep them, and it does all the math for you with real clients and determining the average ticket. So that's where you would do that MA240. So think about it differently. Think about the lifetime value of a client and how important it is to retain those clients and build that value. So the best way to reward clients is to build some kind of loyalty program. Obviously, the airlines did it. One of the first loyalty programs ever in the United States was the S&H Green Stamps way back in the 50s or 60s. And it was just proven that people like to be rewarded for money that they spend or get some kind of special privileges. So So implementing a loyalty program to me is important. In Millennium, we have a loyalty program built in there. I know some of our competitors have some kind of loyalty system. I don't know the details of it. I will talk to what I think is important and what we put into our software around loyalty. And the most important thing for me is this next slide. Client loyalty system has to influence buying behaviors. So if all you do is give points for every service dollar spent, it's not encouraging me to try a different service. It's not encouraging me to come in more often. It's not encouraging me to buy retail. It's not encouraging me to, book online. There's a lot of different things that you can put points around that would influence clients' behaviors that help you grow. So that's important to me is no matter what system you use, that you build a system that it can reward points for every service or retail dollar, but it should go beyond that and reward things like referrals and the other stuff that we've been talking about. So rewarding clients for behaviors that will generate revenue, increase frequency of visit, and foster business growth. Those are the key pieces of a loyalty system. The other thing is making sure that you build a complete culture around the loyalty system. So build a culture around the loyalty system, starting with the employees and educating your clients. So many times that when we first released our client loyalty program probably 10 years ago, people would come to our user group conference called The Experience, and they'd say, well, I implemented it, but it's not quite working as well as we thought. And then they'd be at a round table with somebody else that's saying, oh my God, our loyalty systems changed our lives. Our frequency of visit went up 3, our average ticket went up $10. And so what's the difference? And really the difference that I've seen is this culture. You can't just flip a switch and say, okay, we now have a point system or we have a client loyalty system. What you need to do is build up to this point system. Decide what it's going to be. Get the employees to embrace it. Get them to understand it. Get them to understand why. It's so important when you implement something that you give the intent. The employee may always think, well, why are they doing this? This is no good for me, especially if they can redeem points for a free haircut and I don't get paid. Am I going to get paid? So you really want to set your intent with the employees that our goal is nothing short of increasing our business. And increasing the salon business increases each individual stylist or esthetician, their business. So, and that you're going to build this thing around things that help you grow, the referrals and things like that we're going to talk about. So the culture needs to be there. Your marketing materials need to be there. Something that clearly explains your client loyalty system should be right there at the front desk for you to hand out. In Millennium, the actually loyalty points print out on the receipt. If they go to book online, they see their points online. So the whole system embraces the client loyalty system and points, and the employees need to understand it so that they can talk about it. Bob McConey, who's Vice President of Enterprise Sales, has worked for us for 17 years, and he went through this too, where he first did the point system and it wasn't working out well, and then he started to build the culture around it, and it took off and started doing very well. Then he got very busy with us here, and he wasn't as involved, and he went back just in the last few months. I said, wow, nobody talks about the loyalty system. The point redemption's way down, and so he's revitalizing it. So it's a thing that you need to constantly be thinking about, constantly be reminding the employees about, and getting them to embrace it. I also feel strongly that if you build your client loyalty system right, that an employee should not worry about that. Let's say somebody's redeeming 40,000 points, and each point, 1,000 points equal $1. So 40,000 points is like $40 worth of service. So say it's a man getting a haircut, and he gets a free haircut for 40,000 points. I feel strongly that that service provider should still get their commission, or at least if you wanted to, a partial commission, but I'm a proponent of a full commission, because why would I embrace or encourage people to rebook or do the things that are going to help the salon grow so that the client can get points if I know I'm not going to get paid when they redeem them? So I feel very strongly that you understand the reward system and the point system, and you make it such that when that John Harms is coming in and redeeming 40,000 points for a free haircut, you're okay with it because you know what that really means. That means John probably referred 4 clients, he probably rebooked his appointments 8 different times, and he bought a ton of retail. So you got to embrace it, you got to get everybody else to embrace it, and you need to educate your clients on it. So what are the components that make sense when you go to create a loyalty system? Oops, I'm jumping all around here, sorry. So the first one is I like to give points for whether you call it pre-booking or rebooking their next visit. So you don't give a lot of points. Let's say 1,000 points equal $1. I might give anywhere from 500 to 1,000 points, which equates to 50 cents to $1. But now I'm getting them to rebook before they leave. There's also a setting in Millennium where we give extra points for the client's first rebook, meaning when a new client comes in, let me flip over to Millennium. When a new client comes in, their first rebook is so important to keep your new client retention up. So we actually have a separate setting for a new client rebook where you can give them a lot more points. So instead of giving them 1,000, I might give them 10,000, which might be $10 worth of retail they can buy on their next visit. They can't use it then. They can use it on their next visit. And think about that, $10 really costs you $5. But now I've increased my new client retention because they know they have these points. So for Millennium clients, under clients, client points and rewards is where our reward system is set up. And here's the pre-booking next service at time of ring up. So, and then points for pre-booking first visit during first visit for new clients. So giving different points based on that. Now this is a sample that I have set up where 100 points equal $1. I like 1,000 points equal $1. It's just easier to know. 2,000 points is $2. 40,000 points is $4. This makes more sense to me. So that's our loyalty, where you define the loyalty system. So I like giving points on rebook. I want to increase frequency of visit. I like to give points on retail purchases. The industry average is only 10% retail to total that salons are doing. I also just did a recent study for the Vice President Paul Mitchell to find out kind of what percent of clients buy retail. And I was actually shocked. I thought it would be about 25%. 1 in 4 clients are buying retail. The fact is it's really around 12 to 16%. So obviously we know we can do better. So encouraging that client to purchase retail or take home and give them points for doing so that they then can only redeem towards more products. So it's all good. So I like giving points towards retail purchases. Big one for me, excuse me, referring new guests. So client referrals are so important. So the two that I give the most points for, the two I give them the most points for are first client rebook. I even give up to 10,000 points, $10 to get them to come back for that second visit. And our system's transactional based, so they only get those points when they rebook, when they actually get the rebooked appointment rung up. So it's make sure that they're spending money before they get the points. Same thing with referring a new guest. If I refer the new guest and I say, okay, Jennifer's coming in, and they say, okay, Jennifer, how'd you hear about us? Oh, you heard about us from John Harms. When Jennifer buys something, that's when John Harms gets the referring points. And again, here's another one where for referring a new guest, I encourage 10 to 15,000 points, $10 to $15. It's worth. I just told you the lifetime value of a retained client is around $3,000. Why wouldn't I be willing to give them 10 to 15,000 points or $10 to $15 that they can use towards retail or accumulate those towards a service? One other thing I'll mention here on loyalty systems is make sure that you have a policy. I think it just makes sense that you can only redeem points towards what I'll call whole items, meaning you have to be able to have enough points to buy that shampoo in full, or you need to be able to have the 40,000 points to buy that $40 haircut. Otherwise, you'll find people just coming in and just using their points in dribs and drabs, and it just becomes an administrative nightmare, and it really doesn't push them towards the goal of, hey, I want to save up enough points so that I have 12,000 points to buy that shampoo. I want to save up my points so I have 40,000 points to get that haircut. If you let them just use it towards trips or, I have 2,000 points, so use $2 towards that $12 shampoo, that's not what you want. So make sure you set up a policy where points can be redeemed towards retail or services. However, you need to have enough to pay for a whole item. So referring new guests is super important. And this is a fast webinar, so I'm flying through this, but I want to give you as much as I can in the short time that we're together. And of course, Millennium clients can watch webinars specifically on our client loyalty system as well. So the other thing is that I like to give points for trying new services. So what we did in Millennium is we even were, I always try to think about the owner and what they might be worried about. So if I'm going to get points for trying a new service for the first time, right, notice what we did here. It says get a certain number of points for trying any service for the first time. Now you could actually say color, nails, you could actually be very specific on the type of service. But notice what it says below that. It says does not apply to guests with less than blank visits. So that was a key thing that we added, because when a new client comes in, they might get points for being a new client. Then they're going to get points for every service that they get, because every service they get counts as new. They've never gotten a haircut before. They've never got color before. They've never got their nails done before. So what's cool about this one is it allows you to say, hey, listen, once they've established themselves, maybe 4 or 6 visits, now they've kind of established the services they're going to get. And if they go outside of those services after that, that's going to count as a new service that they've never gotten before, and then they're going to get the points. So that was a pretty good feature that we put in there to make sure that we don't overgive points. So trying new services, always want to cross-sell services, want people to try everything we've got in the salon. So what are some ways to reward the clients? So some of the obvious things are things like offers. Of the salons that I talk to, the number one, and you'll probably agree with me, the number one mailing email type of result that they get are on these birthday emails where, you know, come in, hey, it's your birthday next week, happy birthday, come in and get a free bottle of shampoo, or come in and get 20% off your services, or whatever it is. So not that sexy, and when I talk to people, I'm expecting some other kind of promotion that works best. Birthdays are a given one that just seems to work. Anniversary. Now, when I say anniversary, I don't mean their wedding anniversary. I mean their anniversary with you in your business. So maybe on their 1-year anniversary of being at the salon, you send them something, or you send them an offer to come in and get something because that first year is the hardest year to retain them. So once you get past that first year, it's a lot easier. Most likely, they're going to keep coming. So why not reward them on their 1-year anniversary? And then, of course, exclusive events. So if you, there's things, one of the coolest things in Millennium, there's a lot of cool things, but one of the things that people love using is what we have called top end and bottom end. If I go into register top end services, for instance, I can do top end products too. But I can say, show me the top 25 guests that have bought things, and this is old data, so I'm going to have to go clear back to 2011. 2011, whatever. Based on dollars or quantity, and click show. And what that does now is generate a list of the 25 clients that spend the most money with me. Now I can print mailing labels, I print their names. But anyway, there's my guest list, right? If I only want to get about 15, 20 people, here's the people I'm going to go after. Or I can make that, I can change it to 50. If you invite 50, you might get 20 people. So I'm going to see who my top 50 are, and there they are. And do a mailing to them. Say, listen, we have this exclusive event where we're going to give you 20% off of any products, and we're going to have all these baskets made and things like that. And you get the clients to come in, and maybe they have to be a part of your loyalty program to actually get this done. So that's a pretty cool thing that you can use. And people use the top end in Millennium for a lot of different things. It could be who are my top 5 stylists that have sold the most retail in the last year. So definitely check out top end if you're a Millennium client. Gift cards. So using that same top end screen, or if you're using a different software, hopefully there's a way where you can identify your top spenders. So what I love about gift cards is you send it to them, and 2 things I love about the gift cards. One is that they can only spend that money at my salon. So if I gave them $20, it really costs me 10, right? So if they buy a product, or I have to pay a commission or on a service, the truth is that $20 gift card costs me 10. So why not reward some of these top spenders or the clients that have been with me the longest? The other thing I like about gift cards is most gift cards are given as a gift, right? So I might send a $20 or a $50, whatever that ends up being, to one of my loyal clients, but then hopefully they're going to hand that to a coworker or re-gift it or do something that gets somebody else to come into my salon. Now, I've also seen it where people will do things like send a $25 gift card to the loyal client, send them a second $25 gift card to give to a friend. So a lot of different things that you can do with regard to that. Now I am going to pop back into Millennium real quick, and back in those analytical reports, just want to remind you there, under the analytical reports towards the bottom by that lifetime value of a client, you also have revenue analysis top spenders. Run that report. It's an eye-opener. It'll show you that probably over 50% of your revenue comes from only 10% of your clients, and it'll show you the frequency of visit of those clients and what they spend. So what you'll find that's surprising is you make the most money off of frequency of visit, not average ticket, meaning there's not a huge difference between how much one of your top spenders spends per ticket than one of your mediocre, people that represent maybe your bottom 20%. But the big difference is frequency of visit. Your top spenders on average will probably be coming in 15 or 16 times a year. So it's that makes them top spender more than them spending more per visit. So run that. It's going to be an eye-opener for you. So that's just a little tickler. Hopefully go check it out. Now, one-to-one marketing, obviously, we integrate to Demandforce. We have some marketing baked into Millennium. Most systems out there have some marketing baked in there. So people don't want massive emails anymore. They want targeted offers. Like, you need to know me a little bit to give me an offer. Like, don't offer me a woman's haircut if I'm a man. Don't, if I typically buy, a Veda and you send me an offer for Paul Mitchell, maybe that wasn't the best choice. Or maybe you want to send it to people that have tried Paul Mitchell, and now the men's line came out, and you want to encourage them to try Mitch for their husband. So you'd want it to go to women, and you'd want it to go to people that have bought Paul Mitchell and introduce them to Mitch. So, these are the things you got to be a little bit more segmented, a little bit more targeted in your emails. So just rewarding clients in an intelligent way based on what they buy, how long it's been since they've been in, it makes more sense. And clients want to feel like you really know them, and you're not just getting a generic email blast. And so the other thing I wanted to mention is the ability to keep client loyalty is there's nothing that makes somebody more loyal than being a member of something. So Millennium offers memberships, again, competing software. Some of them offer memberships. Memberships are great. We built our membership engine for Massage Envy. They have over 1,200 locations around the United States. And their success rate is unbelievable. Their frequency of visit is unbelievable. So if you combine memberships with package series, encouraging standing appointments, you can really hit a home run. So the blow dry bars are really starting to come up, and they use memberships. I have seen salons do memberships for shaves for men, memberships for haircuts. So you might want to try it. What's great about a membership is they don't have to choose to participate. But if they do, Millennium's going to do a monthly fee, and it's going to automatically deduct whether they come in that month or not. So it becomes recurring revenue and predictable revenue. Package series is great because sometimes you want to do a membership that also gives you certain access to certain things. So maybe my membership gives, let's say it's a nail manicure membership. Every month I get a polish change and a maintenance or whatever. And so it automatically just drops into the package series account so that when they come in, it automatically just comes up free. And again, I talk about encouraging standings. If you sell a 6 manicure series, why not book 6 standings for that client on the day and time of their choosing that makes the most sense and make them feel important, like it is a client loyalty, it is a VIP type of thing to be able to have a standing at a certain time every week or month or whatever. So don't think that because you're not a Massage Envy that memberships might not work. They are popping up and they are being successful. Again, it's not for everything, but you could come up with a couple memberships that make sense for your salon around haircuts or nails or waxing or massage. So think about it and don't exclude it. Give it some thought because you're going to find that the people that are members, number one, it's recurring revenue. Number two, their frequency of visit is significantly higher than a non-member. And of course, they get member benefits. Maybe they get 10% off of retail, so now they're buying more retail than anybody else. So really important to consider that. Now, we're right up at 12:30 Eastern Time. I am going to check the questions here. I haven't used this part of it before, so give me a second. I see a lot of questions. So maybe, Brittany, you can let me know which ones are not answered. So I see one that just came up. Do you know if there is a way to calculate the percentage of clients that are purchasing chemical services? So the question is do I know how to calculate percentage of clients that are purchasing chemical services? In our product, in Millennium, I can show you quickly. Mevo also does it, where we have these smart tiles, they're called, where we actually have one where you can say, okay, what category of service are you interested in, and you select chemical, and then this little tile just shows up and shows you that percentage automatically. A lot of different places you can find that. If you're in the Palmer Tool system, you have the Palmer Tool toolbox. That's going to tell you chemical percentage right there. The easiest way to do it in Mevo is, now I'm blanking out, by service class, sales by service class, I think it is. So if I don't find it right away, we'll answer your question, but I don't want to hold up the whole call on me remembering for sure where the sales report is for this, but I think it's so I believe it's one of the weekly sales with averages. There's somewhere else too, so I'm blanking right now, but there's several places that you can get it in Millennium, where they'll actually tell you percent chemical services. It's a sales by service class is actually the one that's going to tell you. So sales by service class is going to give you that information right here. Next question. Top 5 must-dos. I kind of gave you those. I think it's, build a culture, build your system around things that are going to encourage people to try things and help your business grow. Don't just give away points for the sake of giving points. I like to say that it's important to get your employees around it and want them to embrace it. And to do that, then they need to get paid for the when points are redeemed. But if you set your system up right, trust me, you're making out way ahead of the game financially, because if they have 40,000 points, like I said, to give that service away, they probably brought you 4 new clients and all those other things that I mentioned. Expiration of points. How important is this, and does Millennium support it? Yeah, so when you define a point system, you actually tell it when the point system starts and when it ends. Now, somebody wrote, is this important? I think it is. I think it is. A lot of states don't allow you to expire like gift cards and things like that, but points are gifted. So those are things that you don't have to keep as a liability sitting around on your accounting system for years. And you want to encourage people to redeem those points and save them up. So I do think that you should expire them. People will typically expire them in 18 months. So if I started a loyalty system in January, they have to use the points by June of the following year, because the points stop redeeming probably at the end of the year. So it gives them 6 months after those points have stopped accumulating for that loyalty system to use them. And I think that's more than fair. And it keeps it off your books for perpetuity. You don't want it on there forever. Carol, nice to see you, Carol Phillips, good friend and an amazing educator. Taught me everything I know and act like I know about retail. Yeah, the PDF slides will be made available. Let's see, expiration I talked about.
Through some of these questions, John. I think that we have some good questions here. Carol actually asked another question, and she said, but what if it's ongoing, which I think is in reference to the points program and how you were discussing, like when the expiration and the redeem by date would be. And so her question was, but what if it's ongoing?
Yeah, so what I tell people to typically do is a lot of times you don't, hopefully you design a point system that makes sense, and it's actually, I would encourage you not to make major changes to it, to Carol's point. But so what they do is typically there's a couple things you can do. One is you can actually, in Millennium, see the copy button here. You can copy your point system and then just change the dates, so that now the one for 2014 is only going to be for 2014, but the 2015 one's the same. It just has a different expiration date of those points. So so that's what I would do. I would just go in and hit copy, which keeps all the loyalty system points system intact, and just change when it begins and ends and when it needs to be redeemed by, and call that promotion 2015, and it takes you 2 minutes and you're done. How do you define points are only to be used for retail? So what we've done in Millennium is we don't know whether you're going to want them just for retail or just for services. You can't buy a gift card. So we actually started down that path. We backed away and said, listen, let's just leave the system open, and then you're going to have your own processes and procedures as to how you allow those points to be used. There are people that actually allow points to be redeemed into a gift card, and I even think that's great. Why not? Gift cards going to be given to somebody else. They have to use the services here. I might get a new client out of it. So if somebody wants to redeem 50,000 points and get a $50 gift card, I'm all about it. If they want to use it for retail, that's great. If they want to use it for a full service, that's great. So I'm kind of but it's important to build a system that makes sense and is designed right so that you're not giving away the store. But as long as it's designed right, I actually would encourage you to allow points to be used on almost anything. But you can make that choice to only let it be for retail. That's your choice, but there's nothing in our software, Millennium, that says you can only use it towards retail. Where can we locate the PDF slides? Brittany, you're going to have to let them know that answer. I don't know.
Yeah,
so I have Mevo. Does this work with Mevo? So no, but here's the good news. We are in the middle of designing the loyalty system for Mevo. I was involved in meetings just last week. Of course, it looks beautiful, and I believe the loyalty system is supposed to be in place by July or for a conference end of June. I will verify that. But so it will use the similar points that you see here so that we can map, people that were on Millennium when they go to Mevo. We'll be able to pull their point system in. so the same type of topics that I talked about today that are in Mevo, our Millennium, will be in Mevo as well. Any questions that I missed there, Brittany, that I know there's a bunch of them flying by. You can just direct me if you see one that I didn't cover.
Yeah, sure. I know that Rama had a couple of questions. Some of her questions were in regards to should 10% be given back in rewards? If client spends $100, how much reward should be offered? And then she just had another question, and some of these play together, which is why I kind of meshed them all together. And she said, you said clients must use points for full services or products, not used in dribs and drabs towards purchasing services in retail. Why in full, and can you elaborate? So I think a lot of this stuff kind of goes together.
Yeah, so I don't know that there's a magic number. 10%, I might have different, maybe for members I might do 10%. If somebody spends 100, I don't know that I want to give them 10 back. I think I have typically seen more along the lines of, and again, there's no magic to this, but I think more along the lines of 5%. So that people don't get too freaked out by how much they're really kind of giving back in points. But again, keep in mind, if you give back quote-unquote 10% and they use those points, it's really costing you 5%, right? But I would say I typically see 5%. Members, maybe you would, because in Millennium you can actually say members get this and non-members get that. Maybe members would get 10%. Now, the reason I say use in full amounts is just things that we've learned over the last 10 years. When we would have our conference, people would come in and say, oh, my God, our point system got out of control. It was a liability nightmare with the accountant. So we kind of decided that's it. We made a policy that they could only use points towards whole items. And I'm like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. So one of the things you guys should understand is that the point system becomes a liability. That means that as these things accumulate, you have a certain amount of dollars that these points equate to that you quote-unquote owe clients until they expire. So your accountant will track your liabilities, and Millennium gives you all that information. So it'll tell you exactly how many points are outstanding and all that information. But if you're allowing people to, redeem 72 cents worth of points or $2.20 worth of points, it's not getting them. My feeling is it's just not, the engine isn't working well that way. Meaning, I'd rather them know that they have to save up 12,000 points to get that free shampoo. So now they're watching their receipt. They're watching their online booking where it shows the points. And they go, okay, I'm at 7,000 points. And they get rung up. All right, I'm at 9,500 points. I'm almost there. So it gives them that thing that they're chasing. If they can just use the points anytime they want, it loses that luster. So I think it's one of the things that my clients taught me. I really encourage you to try that, where they have to use the points for whole items. Now, I did say that your question said that you said that clients must use points for full services. I'm not saying that. In Millennium, it doesn't even force that they have to. I'm suggesting that you do that. But you don't have to do that in Millennium, and nor do you have to do that in your point system. It's just one of the things we've learned over the last 10 years that I would encourage you to do so that you don't make some of the same mistakes other salons have made along the way.
Well, I think that we have gotten to a lot of the questions. If anybody has any questions after this presentation, just for the sake of time, obviously there are some people that have to leave us, you can contact me at education@millenniumsi.com. I'll repeat that for you guys, education@millenniumsi.com. That's 2 L's and 2 N's to spell Millennium. For Millennium or Mevo inquiries, in the event that you do not have the software and you're interested in finding more about it, you can contact sales@millenniumsi.com. Again, that's sales@millenniumsi.com. And for those of you with us today who are Millennium or Mevo clients, registration for the experience is open. We are so, so excited. It is in Scottsdale, Arizona from June 28th through the 30th. I know John had mentioned earlier our user group conference and how people have roundtables. We have lots of that going on this year. It's going to be really, really amazing. In my opinion, this resort is absolutely gorgeous. So it's not only an educational event, but it's a really, really great vacation. The staff at that hotel is top-notch. And I want to say it's more a resort than it is a hotel. And I would highly, highly recommend looking into our conference for the educational aspects, for the networking aspects, for you guys to come and really learn as much as you can about what we're doing. So if you really like this class, you would love our experience if you are already one of our clients. I want to encourage you to check out some highlights from 2014. And again, any other questions that you guys have, please send them to education@millenniumsi.com. John, I just want to say thank you so much. I even learned some stuff from you today, so I think that's great. And I just want to say thank you, as I know everybody else does, for your time today, for this presentation. And I hope that you all